it has surpassed the capacity of any country in the world. Look at how China is behaving. Look at how Russia is behaving. Look at how England is behaving. Look at how America is behaving. The most powerful country of the world is behaving, is seeking support from other countries. Well, we had President Trump asking from India the malaria medicines. Same is true. India is also not, India is also not is asking for PPEs. India is asking for masks. Every country is now dependent on other countries. So it has overwhelmed the capacities. So in these two senses, I would say corona threat is very, very special. And it will have exactly the same kind of impact that we had in world wars, earlier world wars. Now that I'll take up later on. Now let's talk about the coronavirus disease. Now coronavirus is not a new virus. It is a category of the SARS, SARS, severe acute respiratory syndrome. And we have had coronavirus before in 2003. Now, this is coronavirus. Actually, this is called as SARS-CoV-2. This is the second time. But the problem with this particular virus is that SARS virus was limited to China. And somehow, it could not spread to many other countries beyond Asian countries. And we were able to contain it. But COVID is very, very different than that. It has suddenly, spread to the world, and therefore we are all trying to fight with it. Now, the typical symptoms of coronavirus are, of course, because it attacks your respiratory system. So, of course, fever. We start with fever, and I think the majority of the cases you have fever. Fever is because the immune system of the body is fighting against something that's coming from outside. Then we have cough and fatigue. Now, these are the typical three symptoms which definitely are going to be there as the corona is concerned. Now, let us talk as an anthropologist, let us talk a little bit about the epidemiology. Of course, we have not reached any conclusion. But if you look at the spread of coronavirus all over the world, I personally see, it's a hypothetical kind of a situation. I see a clear cut divide between North and South. The coronavirus has primarily attacked the South, and it has not attacked that much the North. Secondly, again, this is why it is attacking South. The one possible reason could be that it is not attacking South is that South is relatively hotter area, temperate. It is relatively tropical kind of an area that we have in the South. So we don't see it much, although, the health system in the South is not so strong as the health system of the Northeast. The health system of Europe, health system of America is inferior to no one. But look at the health system of Latin America, health system of Africa, and health system of India, and also maybe Thailand and other countries. I think comparatively speaking, the health system in the South is weaker. But yet we have the prevalence of corona much, much higher. And there is a significant difference between North and South. And I think people are, not confirmed. They are saying, with, I think, hush voice about the, heat having something to do with the coronavirus. Thirdly, I think coronavirus is also linked to aviational capacities of the countries. The countries which were more able to travel internationally are the ones who are having it more. Look at European countries, look at America, look at even in South, if you look at Australia, if you look at New Zealand, there is a high prevalence of corona in these two countries. Now, therefore, although we can't say conclusively about the epidemiological factors, but I think these are some of the I think trends that we can see. Now, let me come to critical medical anthropological perspective that is too dear to me. And coronavirus, of course, is a virus, and it is attacking human body, and it doesn't differentiate between poor and rich. It doesn't differentiate between Chinese and non-Chinese. It doesn't differentiate between Hindu and Muslims. It doesn't differentiate between persons from Northeast and persons from other places. And yet, there are clear-cut fault lines. Now, it is very common that when there are crises, there are two things that happen. People try to look for the blame to someone whom they can blame for the crisis. And secondly, crisis also bring people together. But what is happening with the coronavirus? It has started with China, of course, Wuhan. It started China, Wuhan, and all kinds of rumors started spreading about China. Chinese people were racially discriminated in other countries. In many countries, they started discriminating. The president of America went to the extent of saying that it's a Chinese virus. The same thing happened in Hong Kong. They started banning people from China. This is how they started discriminating. And this is a racism that we saw. In Thailand, you had people in Thailand started blaming the white people about it. You had famous politicians from Italy who started saying that these African migrants who are coming, they are to be blamed. In India, you had, of course, uh, my own department colleague was, my own department student faced this, racism in Delhi University, where she was called as Corona and somebody tried to spit on her. So this is what happened. People from Northeast India, they were discriminating. And then you had in Delhi, what happened? That people from Jamaat, the Tablighi people, they were started, people started looking for them as Muslims are spreading. So this is what has happened. This is what has happened. Now, now if you look at who is to be, although this should have gone to everyone, and fortunately, I think because the aviational etiology of coronavirus is there. So it has affected people who are mostly people who are rich and people who came in contact with people who were rich, people who had the capacity to travel outside by air, and people who came in contact with them. So fortunately for poor people, they were not much affected. They were not much affected, but they were affected economically. So they may not be affected clinically, they were affected economically. And you saw that in Delhi, and you continue to see in Delhi that people are getting affected because of the coronavirus. Now, I would like to now here bring to your kind attention what Department of Anthropology had done with respect to coronavirus threat. On, I think, 12th of March, Department of Anthropology started with a task force. And this task force on coronavirus, because at that time, we were in the danger of getting into stage 3. We were in stage 2 at that time. We were getting into stage 3. So in my department, myself, Dr. Sachdeva, P.R. Mandal, Dr. Vitoli, Dr. Vipin, and Dr. K.N. Saraswati, we all sat together and decided, because as anthropologists, it is our responsibility to tell the people who are in the position of power whatever anthropologically is relevant. So there are 4 points that we gave them. First one was, and I'll read them, and I think at that time, because we sent these recommendations to Ministry of Health, Government of India, Prime Minister's office, we sent it to the Chief Minister of Delhi and the Health Ministry of Delhi. And in that, we had said, and we had said from the point of view how Corona is going to affect the people of, especially poor people, people in the villages, people in the hinterland. At that time, there were a lot of hue and cry about masks, clinical masks and sanitizers. Now, where to get these sanitizer and masks? Therefore, we suggested in the absence of commercial masks, one can use any double-layered washed piece of cloth available at home for covering nose and mouth. It could be handkerchief or a piece taken from the dhoti, old cotton sari, old turban, and other such old new piece of cloth easily available in the house. Then we suggested instead of sanitizer, which is not able, everyone cannot have the sanitizers, Frequent hand wash with easily available soap in the house should be done. In the absence of soap, one can use ash from the hearth or even the plain water. Hand wash is mandatory if a person is coming from outside or using any public facility or convenience. Third point that we suggested to them was, in order to prevent the older people from infection, one must maintain 1 meter distance while serving food or interacting with them. The people serving food to the elderly must wash their hands before serving food or drinks to them. As far as possible, the toddlers and children should be at safe distance from the elderly. And the fourth point that we mentioned was the panic and fear arising out of misinformation regarding coronavirus need to be adequately addressed. The coronavirus is new but not very dangerous. People should be told in clear terms that they should not fear unnecessarily. The patient suffering from COVID 19 need not be ostracized and discriminated. I think this is a point which is becoming more and more difficult now all over the world. We are fighting people being ostracized. We are fighting people not being given, not be given the right to even cremate or bury their deads. The same is happening in Africa. So this is a very, after all, corona is a virus. And because of lack of knowledge, people are very, very apprehensive about it. I think it should be treated as a virus, and at least the people who are dying should be given a decent cremation or decent burial that I think they deserve. Now, let's talk of the deaths which are being caused. In India, the death is now nearly 400 deaths, and I think we are doing very well. But we don't know because in India, we are not testing properly. The testing rate per million for India is only 199. It is very, very low in comparison to people in other countries. Even some of the poor countries have a testing rate per million more than 1,000. Now, countries like America and South Korea, they have a very high 10,000, around 10,000 per million kind of a testing rate. So we are not testing enough people. And many people who may be asymptomatic would never come because we are testing people. Our strategy is to test people who are coming to the hospital, who are coming with some kind of symptoms. So we are already having a catchment from which we are trying to test people. So we are leaving aside many other people. Now, what has happened that the death rate from coronavirus has been hovering from 1% to 7-8%. Now in India, this is around 4%. 4% people who are having corona are dying. But countries where there have been enough, lot of tests, we see that there, the death rate is very low. Then the countries where people are not having. So for example, Switzerland had a very high testing rate. There the death rate was nearly less than 1%. But Italy had a very higher death rate because they did not test adequately. So what I'm trying to say, it is very critical for India to test more and more. And then we can say about the death rates because we do not know where this particular virus has spread. Because in India, we have been very, very careful as far as the lockdown is concerned and everybody is praising. But at the same time, I think we have been very careless in India as well. You see, recently, yesterday only, day before yesterday, we had thousands of people gathered in Bandra in Mumbai. So the very purpose of lockdown is defeated because in coronavirus, every one of us is safe, each one of us is safe. So it is not that I am in lockdown and I let others go out and mingle with each other and let it be a big crowd, then my safety is a false safety because I again get the threat of coronavirus. In India, this is happening again and again. I think this is also a concern. This is also a very serious concern that if you have decided to be fighting coronavirus by means of lockdown, we must be very, very serious about. Now, there are some similarities that I would like to bring here between coronavirus and HIV. And in fact, we heard because coronavirus and HIV both are linked to the functioning of immune system. So people who are dying of coronavirus are the ones whose immune system is weak. And therefore, we have people above 60 dying more because of coronavirus, or those people who are dying young are definitely those people whose immunity is weak, is weaker. Now we also have a some kind of news coming from Jaipur that HIV/AIDS medicines are working for corona. We don't know how far this is true, but corona and HIV, they are coming together, and I think the knowledge that we have gathered out of HIV, especially behavior change communication that we have learned from HIV, should be applied should be applied to coronavirus as well. Especially to look at how social ostracism or social distancing that is being maintained is to be curtailed. Now, I would now come to the, the matter of social distancing. I personally do not like this term. Social distancing is not the right term for the coronavirus or for prevention of coronavirus. I think this right term is physical distancing. We should be physically distant. Physically, we should be away from each other. But I think socially, we should come more closer because we are now, most of us are living in isolation. So we need to come socially very closer, and we can be socially very close. At the same time, we can be maintaining physical distance. Now, coronavirus, a very critical thing that is coming to point is how we can prevent it, the preventive measure. Now, there was a time when people were thinking that it is spread through air, but now it is clear that it is not spreading through air. And air route is not the route through which it is going. Coronavirus is going to affect us if we touch with our hands the T zone in our face. The T zone is the T that is maintained, the oily area. So if we touch this area, so this is very critical. This is a very critical behavior that we must understand as anthropologists or as clinicians or as public health experts, that we have to avoid touching our hand touching the T zone of the face. Now, why we touch the T zone? There are three basically. We have to understand this behavior. First is there is unconsciously we have the habit of touching our face. It's unconscious, we don't know, and we do touch our face. So our hand automatically goes and it goes near that T zone, which is very, very critical. Secondly, this is also very, very common itching. We have itching. We may have itching in some part of the body, and especially under the T zone, and we may be touching it not consciously. We may be again touching it unconsciously. A third important point that makes us touch our face is self-cleaning behavior. We try to sometimes clean our T zone, and therefore we take our fingers, our hands towards the T zone. Now, in order to take care of that, we need to really understand human behavior, and we need to guide human behavior in such a manner that even if we are going to touch our face unconsciously, we should not. And even if we touch our face, we are somehow covering it. So therefore, the mask, and I'm not talking of clinical masks, I'm talking of any piece of double layer cloth which is covering your hand, your face, is critically important, because your hand will touch, even if it goes towards your face, it will touch the mask and it will remain separate from the skin surface. So that is something that we must do. Now, one of the very important point, and I'll see the, okay, we have got, I have got around 10 minutes more. So 10, 15 minutes more. So one of the very, very important point that I would like here to talk about is communication. Communication, we have seen that there is a problem with communication. And in the era of social media, this communication is really becoming a problem. And in India, where already there are fault lines between communities, there are fault lines between religious groups. This social media is creating a problem, and we have seen the ugly face of discrimination especially with the poor people. So therefore, communication is very, very important. How to communicate? We have to communicate all that is factual about this disease in simple language to people. We don't have to tell them what they should do. They would do what is the right thing to do because Indian people are very rational. But we must tell them what is it? What is coronavirus? How it is going to spread? Because the lack of information, lack of correct information, makes people undertake behavior which could be dangerous. And therefore, it is very important that in simple languages, the right information about the coronavirus is sent to the people. Now, so far I have talked about the impact of coronavirus. Now, my title of my presentation is actually it is my presentation is called balance sheet. Now, balance sheet is about positive and negative. I have so far talked to you about negative points, but we have to see coronavirus threat in a holistic perspective, in an objective manner. Now, of course, coronavirus has done a lot of harm to the world. Coronavirus has killed so many people. Coronavirus has destroyed many of the economies, have made many people, not only in India, in America, people are becoming unemployed. There is serious economic crisis that we are seeing everywhere. So, of course, these are obvious negative points. But we should also see it as an opportunity. Like we say, every disaster is a harmful thing, but every disaster is also an opportunity. Similarly, I think in the form of coronavirus, we have also got an opportunity. We have got an opportunity to sit back and look at the facts, look at the world, look at how the world is moving, in which direction the world is moving. Now, if you look at Delhi, I see two things. And I think these two things are a positive side. Number one, the water of Yamuna has become clean. You know, the reports are there. I have not seen, I wish I could see the water because I've seen that water which was very, very dirty. But the reports are coming that this water is becoming clean. Now, this is a very, very good thing because you do not know how many people were dying, how many people are dying taking that contaminated water, which was coming in the form of vegetables, which was coming in the form of food. To all of us, we were all eating those toxins. And on an average, I think everybody was losing 5, 6 years, and many people were dying because of this. So the challenge now, after coronavirus, we have overcome coronavirus, will be how do we maintain Yamuna as clean as it is today? The nature has shown us that it can clean. And the Yamuna is cleaning itself because we see a lot of aquatic animals now within Yamuna. It has rejuvenated itself. Can we maintain it? That is going to be a big challenge because the moment Corona goes, the threat goes, we are again going back to the same. We may again go back to the same. So what we say, can we build back better? Can we really build back better after the Corona is gone? Secondly, I'd like to talk about the air quality. Air quality. Air quality of Delhi has tremendously improved. Not only air quality of Delhi has tremendously improved, I think air quality of the whole world has improved a lot. And I think this is a positive sign. This is a positive sign. Why? Because we have stopped going by vehicles and all kinds of, even aviational fuel is burnt in a limited manner. Therefore, air quality is improved. Now, air quality improvement means enhancement in the average life of human beings because air quality has improved everywhere. So this is another benefit that we have. The third benefit that I say, do you know how many people in Delhi were dying due to road accidents? They were on an average 8 people every day were dying due to road accidents. I don't think anybody is dying. Very rarely now people are dying of accidents. In India, nearly 200,000 people are dying in a year due to accidents. Nobody is dying of accidents. Nobody is dying of accidents. And one more point that I would like to make here, positive point of corona. You know why Japanese, got infected in less numbers? Japanese got infected in less numbers because they already have a very strong personal hygiene system in place as part of their culture. They regularly wash their hands. Now, Indians have learned this, and Indians have now learned. Now, we are learning it, we are doing it because we have been asked to do it, and after sometimes, washing of hand is going to become habit with Indians. And this will definitely lead to a tremendous downfall in the prevalence of gastrointestinal diseases. There is going to be a downfall in gastrointestinal diseases in India after the coronavirus. So, what I'm trying to say is that coronavirus has, of course, done harm, but is also teaching a lesson to human beings that we must sit back and decide how we are going to move ahead in our life. Are we going to uh, play wrestling with the nature like we were doing before, or we have to come in term with the nature so that we can survive more? Now, what is going to happen? I told you that these are the points. But what is going to happen? Because this is, I said in the beginning, this is no less than a world war. It is a world war. And every world war led to change in world order. The First World War, the Second World War. You see, first thing that is going to happen is that the international organizations have to redefine their role. We already see yesterday that President of America has stopped giving grant to WHO. In other words, I think we'll have to come up with new kind of institutions which would be now world institutions. WHO may not function like WHO, or maybe it may change its. Secondly, I think economic damage that has been done to the world, countries of the world, is going to have a very important role in how the global politics is going to place. I definitely see a downfall as well as the influence of United States of America is concerned. I definitely see downfall in some of the European countries, their influence in the world politics. I think countries like India, countries like China, countries like Japan, countries like uh, Russia and South Africa, they are going to come up and going to become more powerful in the coming days. So what I see as an end result that corona is a very tiny virus. You can't see it with the eyes, but it's a very powerful. It is a very powerful enemy of the global community, global world, and it has the capacity. It has the capacity to change the way human beings were living before.
On behalf of all the participants, there were 70 of us today. So thank you very much, sir.
Okay, great. So great talking to all of you. Thank you very much.